And clear of the closing doors, please.
What up, son? What up? Grind&Pivot, Queens, New York. Louis Max is here in the house today. Founder and guitarist of the band Great White. 10 million albums worldwide. Grammy nominated. MTV darlings. You remember MTV, everybody? Yes. Mr. I don't need no doctor because he can certainly play it. Mark Kendall. Mark, how you doing, brother?
How you doing, Louis? Good to see you, man.
Same here, man. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. So I know you guys are still rocking, and it's amazing. I love it. You're a big baseball fan. Unfortunately, a Dodger fan, I know. Actually had some game back in the day. So let me throw the fastball right down the pipe for the first question. Get it out of the way because everybody asked the same thing. Tell us the story about how Great White actually came about recording Ian Hunter's Once Bitten, Twice Shy.
Well, in 1987, or the end of 86, I think, we recorded an album called Once Bitten. And we had some success with that, had a, top 10 hit and, a few other songs that did well. So the follow-up, we felt like, the old saying, once bitten, twice shy would be a good follow-up album, So that kind of just happened on its own, really. How we came to do Once Bitten, Twice Shy wasn't by design. It was, the song was brought to our manager, Alan Niven, by a band member from Guns N' Roses because he managed them, and said, "Hey, check this song out, Once Bitten, Twice Shy." Alan loved the lyrics a lot because it talked about being on the road, and we were just road warriors. I mean, we only went home to wash our Levi's and maybe record something new. So he related to the lyrics. He played us a song. We thought it was cool. We kind of made it our own, thinking it's just going to be an album track. But when the record company heard that song, it was like a demand that be the single. We had no idea it was going to go huge. And, we had some history with Ian Hunter, but it had nothing was connected why we did the song. Right. We borrowed his drum riser in 1984 for the Judas Priest tour out of his backyard. He came to a show when we were in New York, all randomly. Our sound man was his good friend. That's how we connected at all. Ian Hunter, the only thing I knew about him was Moth the Hoople.
Right. Great band, too.
How great they were. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely.
Just the greatest band ever. But I really didn't know about his solo career or anything. But just knew he was great. That's about all I knew.
Yeah, he was good. Now, there is also a story, right, that you guys, when you were playing the arenas back in the day, used to play the shows every day, a couple arena shows in a row, and then on your off days, you actually play clubs, right? Is that true? Now there was there was a club there. There were a couple of clubs where you saw there was a band out there. Someone told me I think there was a band out there that was called City Kids, right? And they turned it to another big band, right?
Right. And it's one of the only times I've ever said anything about a cover band that opened for us. I go, man, these guys should play their own music. That singer is badass. And I really felt like he was really good. And like I said, I don't normally talk about, oh, what a guitar player that was, man. He really, he really plays Tush amazing, So, right. So it was strange for me to even mention that they were great. And like 4 or so years later, this band Tesla came about, who was Niven was friends with Tom Zutaut, who worked for Elektra, and he told us Niven about this band, and I didn't really know at that time that it was City Kid. I found that out later, but we did a co-headlining tour with these guys, and they're going, Right on, dudes. I knew you guys were good. This is really, really neat. You know,
Yeah, that's
it was
very
just,
cool. That's a good little tidbit, actually.
yeah, that was really
Going back
neat.
in the day. So let's go back. You're growing up in California, 1978, and you meet Mr. Jack Russell. This starts quite a story, obviously, starting with meeting with him, and then basically one day you're reading in the newspaper about what happened with him.
Yeah.
Give us an idea of what it was like being back then, what was going on back then in '78 in California.
Well, I was in a band. I think I was about 20 years old, and our singer was 28, quite a bit older than us. And, you know, his range didn't quite reach some of the areas where we'd like it to. And a friend of mine had told me he saw this kid in a backyard singing Scorpions Perfect. You know, he's only 16, but you know, he doesn't look like a punk little kid, like he gets up on stage and rocks or whatever. I go, well, give me his number. And, you know, I wanted to look into him. And for about 3 weeks, he kept, every time I called him, he told me he had the flu. He kept telling me, I got the flu. I'm going, man, this guy, you know, come to find out he had joined some other kind of band or whatever. And when that wasn't working out, he took my call and said, let's get together. And I go, why don't you come down and audition for my band? He goes, okay. But he goes, I'll tell you now, I want to do originals. And I go, well, we have some originals. And so he came down, auditioned, and then me and him went into this bedroom, and I was playing him a couple of my songs that I hadn't even presented to the band. I go, here are a couple ideas I have. He really liked it, and he goes, I'll tell you what. He goes, if you get rid of that fat guy and that guy with the mustache, I'll join your band. And I go, that only leaves me. And he goes, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I go, sounds good, because I'm ready to move on anyway. So we went out, we put ads out and had guys come down and, you know, and started to play. And then we're only a couple months in and we jammed with these guys, putting songs together. I think we did 2 shows at a club. And I was painting during the day, painting the backs of AM, PM signs. And I'm on my way to work. And I always stopped at this liquor store to get smokes and something to drink. So when I walked by the newsstand, I saw Jack Russell Whittier shoots live-in made. And I go, what a trip, Whittier. Jack Russell, that's the guy singing with me. He lives in Whittier. It can't be the same guy. So I was really curious because it said he shot someone. And so I called his mother and I go, I just read something about Jack Russell shoots made or whatever. She goes, yep, he went and did it this time. And wow. I'm like, no way. I'm thinking, I'm with a guy that actually, you know, shoots people. I just thought it was just amazing.
Right.
And the next thing I knew, it said that they sentenced him to 8 years in jail. And so he was out on bail, and we went and did, because he was high on PCP or something when he did this. So he said he totally blacked out and doesn't even remember it happening. I guess he was there to try to get drugs out of this house. And we went and did this benefit against PCP. He thought, if we do a concert against PCP, maybe they'll be more lenient on his sentence. Because 8 years, I mean, it was just like, dude, you know, I mean, 8 years, I might have to get a singer, you know?
Yeah.
And, but what happened was when he went in there, they reduced it in half to 4 years. And then when he joined all the programs in the youth authority, it's like a prison for young, you know, teenagers. They cut his sentence in half again because he was conforming to all the rules and, you know, doing the programs and whatnot. So then because he served great time, he only ended up being in there 18 months.
Wow.
So we'd already went through we had two singers, and we were on the second one.
Right. Yeah. You were just to interrupt for a second. I know, because
Yeah.
what I want to say is that, yeah, he got it. I was going to ask you, what did you do in the interim while he was away? So you replaced him.
Yeah. We had a girl singer.
Oh, that's right.
For about 6 months. George Lynch from Dawkins stole her out of my band. Just apologized.
Lisa, right? Lisa Baker.
He apologized. Yeah. He apologized 4 years ago at a part when we played with them in Night Ranger.
4 years ago.
Sorry. He goes, sorry about stealing that singer years ago.
By the way,
I go, that is so funny. And he said, believe me, you got the best of that deal. That's what he said. So, anyways, then we had a guy that sounded like Rob Halford, name was Butch Say. And that's the guy we were playing with when Jack was away for the most part. And Jack just said, please audition me. Please audition me. His dad was even asking me to audition him. He goes, I'll blow away anybody you got, I promise. And sure enough, he did. He came in, we jammed with him, and we made a vote. We voted him in. The drummer wanted to keep Butch, but me and Don Costa wanted Jack.
Right.
So
he had it a little bit. He actually had the presence. He had the drive as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he
was a little bit nervous in the early going, a little bit shy on stage, but he got past all that. It was really, I think, from being incarcerated, because anybody that's ever been confined and then you go out into the world, I mean, just to go to 7-Eleven makes you nervous. You know what I mean? So for him just to go straight on the stage, I could see why, that would be a little nerve-wracking right out of the gate.
Right, for sure. So you were playing, what was the band called at that time?
Dante Fox.
Dante Fox, exactly, right. Yeah. So you guys are playing the clubs, you're playing the scene a little bit, you're getting out there, and Mr. Niven, Mr. Alan Niven comes into the picture. Is that the chronology, right? So I guess you could say he was quite the visionary, but give us the rundown about, how he saw you as Dante Fox and what he originally thought, and then get into the whole thing of what, Niven seems to be, although he was not in the band, he was quite integral in what was going to happen, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, he was a very smart man. He was like a sixth member in a sense, but also a good visionary. Like he could see where our weak areas were and where our strengths lied, and so he wanted us. For instance, he wanted me to get away from the first album and be more honest with myself and with my influences. And so, and I go, that means I can just play whatever I want. And he goes, that's what that means.
Wow.
Not like on the first album, we were trying to be like Judas Priest, even though it ended up not sounding like that. But we were a trio with the lead singer. We didn't have keyboards. No rhythm guitar, not really a lot of background vocals and stuff. So it was a different type band, but we were literally trying to be heavy, almost forcing it. But so when he freed me up just to play whatever I wanted, it really opened up a whole new world for me. And he was just great at hearing things, even if he played me a Guns N' Roses demo, and I don't understand how he could listen to that and go, oh yeah, I see potential here. But when I say that, I can't believe he listened to us and saw potential.
So the same thing, right.
Yeah, he was just good at, certain people have that. Like others might listen to a demo and just go, oh, they suck. It's horrible. You know what I mean? That's not the way he listens. He dissects it and go, well, that's a damn good guitar player, and the singer, he could be something. So that's just the way he was, and I think he felt one of our weak areas was lyrics. And Jack's a very well-read man. He reads a lot of books and stuff like that. Somehow didn't quite translate to his lyrics early. He got better. But so Alan wrote a lot of our lyrics, but it was a slow build to that. It you know, like on our first album, they changed a few things, like changed a chorus or maybe just changed a couple words here and there. But then as time rolled on, he was writing a lot more of the lyrics.
Is that so? Yeah, because I noticed that in a lot of the credits, and I was going to ask you, so I guess that's the answer. Niven's got a ton of credits on a lot of the songs, and I didn't, you know, the first thing I thought was like, you know, it's like Morris Levy, you know, he's just putting his name on there because he's part of the band, you know, because he can, but Niven was actually bringing things to the table.
He got involved with the lyrics.
Right. So what was the recording process like then? Take us through some of that. Like, for instance, you know, because you guys were, you know, I really felt, you know, you got that blues feel. You had a real heavy blues feel also that I guess he might have brought that out. Maybe he kind of heard that a little bit.
Well, like I'll give you an example. We're recording our second album that we recorded on our own. Alan used to hear me play in between the songs, and it kind of got his full attention because I wasn't playing what we were recording. I was playing stuff that made me want to play guitar.
Right.
And I think that's when he said, that's what you should be doing right there.
Oh, that's what he said, right? So you were playing some Santana riffs? You were playing some Santana riffs?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I was playing like I'm Going Home or something.
Yeah.
I played I'm Going Home by Alvin Lee, like
Alvin Lee, right?
At 15. But I just mess around. I used to warm up like that, playing I'm Going Home. And he goes, "That I want to hear more of that, you know, more your blues thing." And so I just go, "Oh, that could be fun," you know, because all those guitar players, Johnny Winter, Carlos Santana, Billy Gibbons, these are all my teenage years. Those are my heroes, you know. I love Robin Trower. I like, you know.
Yes. Right. Bridge of Sighs.
Yeah. For guitars, those are the guys I was listening to. So for him to say, "Yeah, go ahead and play that," I'm like, "Yeah, awesome." So that's when we started to come with songs like "Rock Me" and stuff. The recording process was, we had full range to the studio because his partner at the time was the owner of the recording studio. So we were always in there, you know. It was very casual, you know, not so hourly, more like go in when we're feeling good and feeling creative and whatever. But we usually knew what we were going to do when we went in there. You know,
you did?
We had a rehearsal place.
Oh, so you rehearsal.
Sometimes things happen.
Right.
Sometimes things happened at recording, like when we were doing Psycho City. I'd be up in the bedroom and coming up with some riff, and Niven would hear it and he'd come in, "What's that?" And I said, "Oh, it's this," and "Let's work on that tomorrow." You know, so that happens also. Songs stem from riffs too.
Of course. So you pretty much knew what you were doing from the rehearsal into going into the actual recording. Now, Rock Me, I love Rock Me, by the way. Great everything. Almost like kind of Bad Company-ish, you know, to me. I mean, I don't think anybody's ever said it, but I just kind of got the little of like, or even early Petty, I'm talking, you know. So, and Rock Me had some length to it, right? Was there any?
Very long?
Any pushback on that? For me, because I was telling Niven, it made me nervous that we were trying to put out a Phil Collins linked song, but we're not Phil Collins. It's like we don't have the pedigree. We've never had a hit, and we're putting out this song that's like over 7 minutes. It's just crazy. And even though I love the song, and so did the record company. When I heard it back, though, I'm going,
yeah, this will probably work because of the dynamics. Because if a song's just flatlining for 7 minutes and it's not going up and down and doing different things, you might start looking at your watch going, how long is this thing? But Niven did a little trick that was quite funny. On every song on that record, he put 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
Really?
And sent that single to the radio station. It said 3:59, and nobody got it until the song went big. It was just funny that nobody got it. It was like the song is 3 minutes longer than it says, and nobody's saying anything, and we're just going, "This is so funny."
That's great.
And but MTV, we had to re-record the song and make it 5 minutes because the edits weren't working. We were trying to edit it, but it wasn't happening. So we literally re-recorded the song again and did this shorter version, cutting verses in half, and it was pretty crazy.
That's pretty cool. Who was musically wise in the band? You guys, were you together, more of an ensemble? Was there a leader? Who kind of brought the stuff in? Did you bring the stuff into Jack? How did it really work? Where'd the magic come from?
I don't know about magic, but a lot of the musical ideas came from me. I would say mostly my stuff, but Michael Lardy also came with ideas.
Yeah, very talented.
Jack had an occasional musical idea, but a lot of times it would stem from some riff I have. And if I really wanted to use the song, because a lot of times if I brought just a raw riff to the band, they might go, "Hey, that sounds like AC/DC, man."
Right. Yeah.
So one thing that people can't hear is everything that's in your head. They can only hear what's coming off the guitar, to where I have a bigger vision. So when I really, really believed in something, I'd go in the studio myself and record a full 24-track thing and then present it to the band. And that way it wouldn't get shut down.
Right.
So
interesting.
I only did that a few times, but like on Congo Square, I really felt like that was kind of a cool riff, and I didn't want to just show it to them on an acoustic. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Two other songs. Like now, let's see what we're talking. Inspiration. Love is a lie.
Love is a lie. I think that's a Niven lyric. I had that chorus riff. I used to like to have a note where another note is moving, descending, or kind of that vibe. And that's kind of the riff I had. And I think Niven came up with that lyric. So yeah, kind of not really bluesy, but the progression allowed me to play elongated notes and kind of sweet melodies and stuff like that.
Right.
So that was a pretty cool tune. We incorporated the piano.
Yeah. Yeah, that was nice. That was definitely nice. And another one, I just listened to it, believe it or not. Got by me for a while, but I did Call It Rock and Roll.
Call It Rock and Roll. Yeah, it was, I think the mistake made with that was it sounded a little bit close to Once Bitten, Twice Shy, just that style. And I remember the record company being totally against that. They felt like we should come with something completely different, and Alan somehow won the argument there. I think that might have been a mistake, even though it became kind of a good fan favorite kind of live. They kind of liked it, but as far as being something to follow up, Once Bitten, Twice Shy, I think it might have fallen a little bit short. But
fair enough.
It's all good.
Yeah. How'd you get the name? How'd they change the name from Dante Fox and to Great White? I know there's a story there.
Yeah, well, it actually happened immediately. When Alan saw us at the Whiskey, he gave us his card, said he really liked what he heard, and he'd like to speak with us at the record company the following day. So we went down there and spoke to him, and he kind of said, you know, I see potential and whatnot. Hate the name. Hate it. Yeah. So he just told us straight out, I don't like your name. And we're going, oh my God, we got to think of a name again. It was just big. Anybody who's been in a band that has to think of the band name knows how torturous that is.
Yeah.
So we really, you know, we were happy that we're going to get an opportunity to possibly record an album, but changing the name. Anyways, he goes, oh, no worries. I already got your name, Great White. So we didn't like it. But I guess what happened was, and didn't find this out till later, well, Jack used to call me Great White on stage. Kendall, the Great White. Because when I used to play a solo, you know, and it's just because I'm like the whitest guy in the world, right? But Niven never heard that. Alan that night was out in front of the club waiting for his car. And I went driving by and stuck my head out the window of a car and screamed something to the crowd. And this kid next to him pointed to the car and said, there goes Great White. And for some reason, it clicked in his head. He just said, that's their name.
Wow.
That's it.
That's pretty cool.
Their name. Yeah.
That's a good story.
That's how he came with the name. And once we thought of the shark a couple weeks later, then we thought the name was fine.
Right. Yeah. He had some business sense.
I'm sorry?
He had some business sense.
Yeah. Niven's a very smart man. Really good with the business, super smart, educated, knew how to get things done. You know, a real workhorse, you know, he's on the phone all the time, getting this, getting that tour, getting this going and that going. He was amazing in that sense.
Right. So you got signed to EMI first. That was the first thing right out. How were the deals that you made back then, looking back on it so many years later? You were young. Did you know what you were getting into? Did you?
Not really. Just like any other band, you know, never had great deals. You know, and I actually don't feel that bad about that now, because every story I've heard from so many bands, the Eagles or Chicago or just band after band, Ted Nugent, it's like everybody has a story of somebody separating them from their money, it seems. So, yeah, the deals that we made weren't always the greatest, but we just figured it's better than playing in backyards and, you know, for $1.98 for the rest of our lives. At least we can get out there and, you know, maybe become something and get our music to the people and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, the dollars will take care of themselves. I mean, you know, so, but, you know, that's what I tell up and coming bands, you know, get your own lawyer. Don't use anybody else's lawyer. Get yours so they can explain to you what you're signing. So, you know, I mean, you know, when you hear of a band like Chicago or Grand Funk signing the way they're publishing, it's like, it's kind of mind blowing.
Yeah.
You know, not that we've never done that. We've never signed away our publishing, but I can see how easy it could be to do that. You're so happy to have a record deal. You figure, oh, those business guys will take care of that. You know, let's just sign our names and see what's next, you know? So yeah, we've had good things happen to us and maybe not so good deals at times, but you know, I don't have any regrets or anything.
Excellent. So you became, you know, the MTV era was real good to you, actually.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was like? You know, did you shooting the videos and even doing like the unplugged stuff? Do you remember? You remember that? Can you tell us
Oh
any
yeah,
stories about that? Because
yeah.
it would be great to hear some of the things. Because back
It was
then, even for the people now, a lot of people that are listening obviously have been following you for years, but there's probably a lot of people that don't even know and would love to hear some cool stories from back in the day.
well. They quit letting us go down when they shoot the girls. I know that much because it was not because we'd attack them or anything. It's just a distraction for the guy shooting the video if we're all around and So although we were there on a couple videos where the girls were involved, but yeah, I mean it's a lot of waiting around, and you kind of learn though, like okay. Once Bitten, Twice Shy is #1 on MTV, and we're playing like Irvine Meadows, really big show in town, and we're headlining, and the MTV cameras come down, and we're #1, Mom, But here's the deal: it's not because your video is awesome, you just got #1 video. It's because the song's so big, it's judged by where you're at in the charts and how much it's getting played on the radio. It's not because Great White makes the best video and they go #1. It has although it was a fun video and it looked pretty good, and we cruised away on the bus at the end.
Yeah, it was cool for the time, definitely.
So it was good for the time, but it's definitely not. If somebie thinks you go #1, your video goes #1 on MTV, it's not because it's the best video. It's because the song is doing so well in the mediums.
Definitely. So the Ritz Unplugged, talk about that. The Unplugged.
Unplugged.
Yeah, that was great. I thought that was cool. It
was a lot of fun because we were excited about it because not only because it's MTV, we were on the very first show when the idea came about, and recorded on the same day as Don Henley and Damn Yankees. We all did our shows on the same day. And I just thought it's going to be fun because we're going to give somebody a different look at the songs, delivered with acoustic guitars. So that was exciting. What made me nervous is my manager called me the night before the show and said, "Learn, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You" by Led Zeppelin. And I couldn't believe that we were going to play that song, this monster, huge arrangement on MTV with cameras there when we don't even have a chance to really rehearse it as a band. I just thought it was crazy. I go, there's a lot of picking, and I go, I was trying to explain to him, like giving him the Johnny B. Good comparison example. This isn't like learning like Tush by ZZ Top.
Yeah, simple 1-4-5, right?
So it's not 1-4-5, bro. It's just like all this picking and this, the arrangement. It's not super difficult, but it's arranged kind of trippy. Like the verses go on quite long, and anyways, you go, oh, you can go over it in the dressing room, and we got sound check and everything. Okay, bro. And so if you ever see the video, I'm Nervous Wreck, and I look up and smile because I'm at the end of the song, like I know I made it through. Because there's several times where I start going into another part, but kind of am able to get out of it and just made it sound like I do a guitar fill. And lucky I hit all the cool notes, But I'm literally going to the change, and then it's not change time, so I just play a little riff and go back to where
to fill in. Oh, right, and then that gets you back there. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so
that's pretty cool.
It turned out great, and then they put that song in rotation.
Yeah,
on MTV. So I thought it turned out wonderful. Jack did a great job on it. The only reason it was personal, why, because I was so nervous, I was a little shaky. I was a little nerve-wracking, so I didn't like visually my part of the video because of the nerves. But it was because I wasn't confident playing the song yet. Now later on, you know, after we played it, if we played it anywhere, I was completely fine, you know.
Right.
But that actually turned out to be a great thing, to play that song, because Jack is he was such a Robert Plant fan, and I've never really heard anybody, you know, sing a Led Zeppelin song as good as he does. He sounds so much like Robert Plant, and I've even heard that Robert Plant said that Jack sounds more like him than he does.
Do you ever have the urge to be creative and maybe record your own music or project? Well, I've got the producer and recording studio all in one for you. Conveniently located in Park Slope, Ian Lidovich and 333 Studios is a recording studio that comes with an accomplished musician, producer, and engineer all in one stop. Ian Lidovich will take your tracks from basic to final mix. Whether it's rock, hip-hop, jazz, or even easy listening, count on 333 Studios to get the results you've always dreamed of. Check out their website, www.ianlidovich.com, or search 333 Studios New York City to check out all the stuff they've done and have upcoming. By the way, Ian also offers top-notch guitar instruction, both remotely and in person. So check out Ian Lidovich and 333 Studios. This guy definitely knows what he's doing. Rock it, baby.
He literally said that's a pretty good compliment, I suppose.
Yeah, it is. You know, and whose idea was to do that Zeppelin tribute album? How did that come about, actually?
Jack, well, we were all really getting tortured to play Led Zeppelin. Once we did that Zeppelin song, and then when we played the Ritz with Guns N' Roses in New York, we did Since I've Been Loving You, you know. So everywhere we went, people were saying, hey, play Led Zeppelin, you know. And plus, you know, getting all the visuals from MTV on us playing that song. You know, people wanted to hear it now. So we had a break around Christmas time one year, and it was like, they want Led Zeppelin, let's give them Zeppelin. And we learned 18 songs.
Wow.
Not one did we play when we were teenagers. You know how you're in a cover band and you're going to play rock and roll, and you're going to do this.
The ocean.
We learned songs like In the Light, you know, Ramble On. We did songs that we never played, so we had to learn them. And we did 18 songs live for 3 shows. And there were so many mistakes in the first 2 shows, we hardly used any of that. But then it sat around for a long time, like a couple of years, I think. And then we had time off, and Michael mixed it. And we put it out for the fans, just for fun. Go, you know, here's some Led Zeppelin for you or whatever. And it was done very cheaply, you know, just a mic here and a mic there. It wasn't really like a big mixing board and a mobile truck or anything. It was just, so you could only mix it so well, you know.
Yeah. That's the best part of it, though, kind of, in a way.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's totally live.
Right?
I mean,
right? Totally live. You're capturing
There's no fixes. We didn't go in and like redo the guitar or anything. It was just what it was. It was
I agree.
Totally live.
Yeah, let it ride, man. Definitely.
Like if it was a mistake, it stays on.
Yeah. I mean, and in that case, you kind of could live with it too, because you again, like we talked about the magic. You're capturing something that you can't really redo anyway. So It was one of those things. So go back to, you know, for you personally a little bit. A lot of people don't know that this much. Your family, your grandfather and your father both were pretty musically inclined. When did you get the bug, and did they transform it over to you? And did you read music? Did you study? Give us that whole rundown.
I think it was in my DNA, just to be able to hear music well. Because even as a little boy, I was like 5 years old, and I'd be by our a little hi-fi, singing along to things. And so for some reason, I heard music really well. Like, so the way I got started playing guitar, I think I was about 9 years old, and there was a couple bands in the neighborhood. There was a band behind me that was a surf band. I used to go kind of watch them from the street, and then across the street, there was another band called 7th Street Subway, and I used to watch them through this little window inside of a garage. And one day, the bass player was playing with his teeth. I'll never forget it. The guy's playing bass with his teeth, and I about lost it. I could have got hit by a car. I ran so fast home across the street, and I go, Dad, I got to have a guitar. I got to have a guitar. Not even knowing that was a bass. I just seen the guy, with his mouth on strings. I just, man, it's so cool. And I got to have a guitar. And so he got me an acoustic. And I don't think I put that thing down for a year. I literally, it came kind of easy, really. I just learned some chords from the neighbor kids that were more advanced and knew some chords. And by the 4th grade, I was at 10 years old. I played him for my 4th grade class, and the 5th grade class came in our class, and I played with another guy who had a Fender Mustang guitar and a Fender twin reverb amp, but his parents put Scotch tape on the knobs to where it wouldn't go past a certain volume. And my parents didn't put any stuff on my knob, so I could actually get it at a good volume. I wasn't trying to blow him out, but
11, you were able to take it to 11?
Yeah, it was a K amp, a K guitar, and a K amp. Great. Very off-brand. Although K, I found out later, they did make some good instruments. But anyway, so we played Gloria, Wipeout, Pipeline, and Secret Agent Man.
Very cool.
And those are like the first 4 songs I learned. And then the first song I learned from a record, actually hearing a record and learning the song, was For Your Love by the Yardbirds.
Amazing.
And I go, wow, I can actually, because before when I listened to music, even when my dad got me Hendrix, Cream, and The Doors, I didn't listen to the guitar that much. I was listening to the singers because that's what I'd been doing since I was a boy. I'd sing along and listen to the singers, and I'd know all the words and everything, And I think that kind of translated because I love that melody from the singing so much, and just the way they did their melodies over the songs underneath, I wanted to play guitar kind of like that. I go, how come these guys can sing these beautiful things, but you should be able to do that on guitar too, And then when I heard Santana a few years later, I go, man, that's how I want to play. I want to sound like that guy, because it was kind of what I envisioned even when I was 10, how you can actually play these beautiful melodies, and still, kind of rip for a dynamic or whatever, but you can do memorable things on guitar too, not just with the vocal, so that's a little bit why I play the way I do, because there's certain solos where I have fans tell me, God, I remember that solo from Rock Me, or I remember that solo from, House of Broken Love or whatever. So they actually remember the solo, because it's melodic quality.
Right.
I think that's pretty cool, that I've done something that's memorable, because it's really what I've always wanted to do, come up with music and do things that people remember down the road,
Definitely.
So,
I mean, you got the expression, yeah. And I've talked about this before with other musical people, guests. You had the ears, so if you have the ears, you can transform it to the instrument. Yeah. That's what really, a lot of times that separates the men from the boys. A lot of times.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, I've got better at it over the years, and actually get close to what's in my head onto the guitar. It used to not be as close as it is now. But if I have a riff in my head, I'm thinking, if this goes onto my guitar the way I'm hearing it in here, in between my ears, this could be something, you know. So when it does happen, I really enjoy that. But yeah, you're talking about my parents. My dad, he was a jazz trumpet player, and him and my grandpa, they wrote for the whole high school band. They wrote out all the music for everybody, all the different instruments. So my dad was a great sight reader, and so was my grandpa. You could just put sheet music. If he never heard the song in his life, you could just rattle it off.
I feel you 100%. My dad, exactly the same, piano player, arranger, could write the music on the toilet. And I remember, like back in the day, Ed Sullivan, people would come on playing Ed Sullivan. He'd play. I go, Dad, who is this? He goes, oh, so-and-so. Let me play the song for you. And then go to the piano and not just tinker around, play full on. Same thing like you, an arranger. I mean, that's a gift. Those are gifts. That's a gift.
Well, this Wrecking Crew that played on all the
albums,
the
best.
These guys were like masters. I mean, they would go in and just see the music.
I know.
And they kind of rewrite the parts if the parts weren't quite getting there. Like Carol Kay, she talked about
the bass player. Yeah, amazing.
Sonny and Cher song.
Right.
That was just boom, boom, boom.
Right.
She goes, then she comes up with the boom, 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 boom.
Right. Tedesco, Tommy Tedesco, right?
They played what was on the paper, but added to it and made it more exciting and all that. And they played on everything. And it's an amazing story. I'm sure you know about it.
Yeah.
But those musicians were the type where you can, and that's why when I talk to an up and comer, I go, you got to learn the music theory, in case the stars don't line up for it. Maybe you're not going to be in the biggest band in the world and everything's going to go perfect. Well, if it doesn't, you can still do what you love. You can play your instrument. It might be with a different band every day. I know several session guitar players that have great careers that played with Michael Jackson and all these different people and just have a blast. They have a life outside of that. You don't have to go on tour for, 15 months at a time. And, there's other ways to do it. So, but if you don't have that music theory, it kind of closes some doors.
I agree. I do agree. Good point there. Speaking of the touring, you've been touring God knows how long. I mean, what was it like back in the day? Did you dig it? I mean, obviously you're young. Maybe did it take its toll? I mean, I know the drugs. I know. And by the way, kudos. I know you've been sober for quite a while. Salute to you, brother.
Yeah.
I wish you the best. But Russell obviously had his time. And what happened with the band as it progressed into the next phase.
Yeah. Well, I know that. The cocaine and stuff was there back in the day, kind of a social drug. I never got into it. Like, it wasn't my drug of choice. I was like the beer man. It's like, I just roll out of bed and grab a beer. And that can catch up to you. So, yeah, we didn't go on stage wasted every night or anything like that. But, the alcohol kind of caught up with me. I wasn't feeling well all the time. And so eventually I was able to get away from that. But yeah, I think then compared to now is like people are taking way better care of themselves today. And I can tell you this, man, these bands are playing killer. I mean, no matter what band we play with, I don't care if it's REO Speedwagon, Styx, ZZ Top, they are all playing better than ever.
Really?
I mean, it's amazing how well everyone's playing. So I don't think when you get old, you just play bad, obviously, So if anything, I've improved in a lot of areas. I don't know. It's a learning curve. We can always get better.
Right. Right. So, Tell me about the album Can't Get There From Here. Produced by Jack Blades. Kind of like it. It was 99, actually, 1999. And, what was your relationship there? Because I know Russell was pretty tight with Blades, right? Where did you fit in that whole scenario?
I'm also very tight with Jack Blades.
Good to know. Great. Excellent.
We toured with them in the beginning of Rock Me when that song was going, and became very close to them. Jack Blades is kind of a genius. He writes for everybody, Aerosmith, Motley Crue. You name it.
Incredible.
There's not much he hasn't done. And he has the energy of a 13-year-old kid. And when you're around him, the way he vibrates, it's pretty amazing to watch. And I don't care if I show him 3 chords and this idea, he's like, dude, I got it. Like he just goes crazy. He's a wonderful kick-ass producer, man. And so that was a lot of fun. And we recorded on his ranch, in Santa Rosa. And that was just a really great experience. And I did something I hadn't done in the past. I rented about 15 combo amps, just all these different combo amps. And one thing I learned on that record was how well, the little 2-speaker cabinets translate onto the tape. It sounds almost exactly the way you hear it in your ears. So where the 412 cabinets, there's so much EQ that flies around. That's why people, if you ever see somebody micing a Marshall cabinet, they got a mic on the speaker, one back here, one up here, a room mic. This, you could just throw a mic on it and you go, I really like my sound. Like I'm playing my guitar right now and I love my sound. You listen back to it after you record it, it sounds the same. It's bizarre. I'm going, God, why didn't I use combo amps? And then I'm researching, because every teenager thinks that we record with 3 Marshall stacks.
Right, of course.
And I go, really? Jimmy Page used a Fender Champ with 1 speaker on his first 2 albums? Really? That big guitar sound he had? That was it? Just that 1 speaker? You know what I mean? It's like you learn that not everybody records with 412 cabinet. And I don't know. I've always been kind of in a fight to get the notes as loud as possible, but not lose my sound, not lose my gain structure, But how can I make the notes louder without taking the gain down and losing my sound? And so over the years, I kept going lower and lower on my pickup output. And it became more musical that way. These are because I'm not technical, I don't know what's wrong. I just know I don't like it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, I don't know how to fix this, man. I got to talk to somebody.
Right.
And I learned that if I go lower with the out, that way I could, because I'm a roll-up player, I use my volume. I get everything I need from that. So when I turn it down, it's like an acoustic guitar, right? But when I turn it up, then I got more of the gain thing. So I really make a lot of judgment calls with my volume. But that was a lot of fun. Jack Blades, he told us all these stories, about Ted Nugent and stuff, from the damn Yankees. He said Ted Nugent, he shows up, they're going to record, and they live on a 50-acre ranch. He said within 30 minutes, he was boiling a squirrel that he'd shot on the property. And, telling these guys how you clean a squirrel and eat it and all this stuff. The guy, he's so crazy, man. I love him.
That's
he
great.
came to a show once. We played at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. His wife, she really liked Once Bitten Twice Shy. She dug Great White. Ted wasn't playing nowhere, so she drags Ted to the show, and he just shows up backstage and he tells me, comes right to me, goes, "This better be good." He goes, "My wife dragged me down here to see this stuff. It better be good because Teddy will be watching." And I go, and Ted Nugent was kind of a hero of mine, stranglehold and everything, like when I'm 15 and 16 years old.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
this was kind of a cool moment for me, because this guy's wife likes Great White, and I just thought that was funny, and so I played my heart out the best I could possibly play, because he's on the side stage. And I came back, and he came in the dressing room, and he goes, "I didn't know you could yank and crank on that thing like that. I couldn't tell by the radio song." I go, "Thanks."
Right. That's great. That's a very, very cool story. So, what would you say would be one of the great pivotal moments in Great White's history? Could you come up musically something, that you remember fondly, where you had to take like a fork in the road, that you were at one spot and you went to another? Anything you could shed some light on that?
Yeah. There were many moments like that, little trophy moments, if you will.
Right.
But being played on the radio the first time was a really big deal, I remember, because we thought we were going to listen to a radio ad, and it turned out to be On Your Knees on the biggest station in LA. But we had no idea they were going to play it in rotation. We just thought it was a one-time only thing.
Oh, wow.
Because the manager, Alan, he brings a ghetto blaster to our rehearsal and goes, "I want you to hear this at noon. They're going to play this at noon." It was on KMET, Los Angeles big station. And they played On Your Knees, and we're just like jaws dropping, because we had a couple shows coming up. We thought they were going to play an ad for the show, and that was going to be huge, So they end up playing this song every day, like 6 times a day, and we didn't even have a record deal. So that was mind blowing. One of the moments I remember, because when we were teenagers and we were playing, we used to pretend like we were playing the Forum, but we were playing in the living room, and we said, "Forum, good night," that type vibe. So, it's where the Lakers play. It's like any band that's, whatever your hometown is, wherever the arena is.
It's like the Garden in New York.
Yeah, like the Garden. Like, that's where all the bands play.
Yeah.
It's your vision to play the Garden one day.
Right.
Or whatever. And that's kind of how the Forum was. So when we played there, and, the record company giving us our platinum records on stage, and the first 10 rows are guys, I went to 7th grade with,
Right.
my parents, friends, it's not even like so much about your ego as it is about, sharing these moments with your buddies, just going, "Dude, can you believe it? This is so rad. I can't believe it," because these were dreams that we had that kind of came true, that don't figure to happen, so when that happens, it's kind of mind blowing. And then the other moments, little accolades, platinum records or whatever, that's fun to share with your mom and your dad and stuff.
Right. Absolutely.
But just the Grammy nomination, but we thought we'd lose to Aerosmith, although that record wasn't obviously their greatest ever. They end up, once they followed it up and did Pump and all those records,
Oh yeah,
they would have won hands down.
Yeah.
But the band that won was Living Colour. Even though our song was number 5, theirs was number 13. I thought that song was killer.
Yeah, definitely.
Cult of Personality.
Right, yeah.
Oh my God.
No doubt about it.
That riff and everything, I just go, I'm so glad they won, because that song is so badass, But so stuff like that, the little accolades and I don't know. Our peers have sold way more records than us, but the longevity, it's worth the trade-off. Had we just came out and sold 20 million and then, we could have disappeared 25 years ago. So even though we don't quite get to a platinum always, or maybe we'll go double platinum here and whatever, it's kind of cool because, there's another record to make. Oh, I know we can do better than that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
No doubt
it's been
about
a cool career in a way.
Yeah, which brings us now to the present. You're still kicking ass. You're playing shows again. You're on tour with Slaughter and doing some dates. What's it like doing the dates now? And talk about the band, because you still have. I know you got Mitch Malloy now, right, as vocal, which is but you still have Michaels in the band, right?
Audie. Yeah.
Audie's still in the band.
We've all three of us have been,
right. So that's got to be a
almost
pisser,
the
right?
beginning. Audie and Michael just didn't play on our very first album.
Right.
They played on every album since 1985.
So that's like kind of going out and about with your buddies from back in the day.
We did all the tours together.
Right.
The bass players, don't ask me what the deal is, but this has been the longest bass player we've ever had, like 11 or 12 years. Usually they just don't show up one day, or they have an alcohol problem, or you know what I mean? It's like a revolving door going in and out of a store. It's crazy. Here goes the bass player. Oh, here comes the new one.
Well, bass players. Yeah. No, I'm only kidding.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of jokes about
there are a lot of jokes. So what's on the road like now? What, you're going out with a tight crew, with a tight is it a big production? What's it like now? I'm not comparing to forget about before, because it's a different game. But now you're out and about, you're older, the kids are grown, you're away, you go away a lot for a long time. Tell us what's going on. And you're playing different kinds of places, right? You're playing a lot of casinos. What's it like? What's the tours like?
Well, it's a lot different. It's the production's all there. I mean, a lot of lights, a lot of amps, proper production every show. But we do more flying. We're more fly dates. Like back in the day, when you're selling millions of records and selling tons of merchandise every night, and you're playing arenas 5 days a week, you can almost like break even on a tour and be okay. Because you have all the mediums, with radio and MTV, and you're just heard all the time, and people are out and they have music stores and they buy records and CDs and whatnot. If you strip all that away, and now people just download songs before they go to school and stuff, that takes away a lot of revenue. And so, it is a little more stripped down now.
Right.
We don't leave for 2 years anymore on tour. We go out and we do 2 or 3 shows, come home, go out, do a couple shows, try to do, 60 or if we can, 70 shows in a year. We might go over to Europe and do 6 weeks, do a lot of festivals, a lot of huge festivals and stuff, in Germany and just all around. So most of the shows we play are outdoor festivals, amphitheaters, some casinos that have amphitheaters, or they might have a nice indoor venue. Most of the bands from our era are doing it like that.
Yeah.
If a package came along and said, hey, you want to go out 8 weeks, and it made sense somehow.
If it's worth it, obviously. Yes. If it was worth
with
it.
the overhead and crew, I mean,
it's tough.
If we had 30 guys now, I mean, we've had the biggest crews ever before, but it's a whole different world now. We no longer have 3 buses and 2 trucks and a, merchandise guy out with this rider truck and everything. That was kind of when the world was different.
Yeah. So you're a little lean and mean now in a way, still the production, but you're watching what's going on a little bit tighter. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little bit stripped down, but the show's still awesome. I mean, like I said, full production, PA, a lot of lights, so nothing. I'm not out there with the twin reverb,
you're going full throttle. You're going full throttle.
The guitar. I mean, there's no cutting back on the
right. Good.
The fans are going to look at. It's just stuff that goes on behind the scenes is a little more stripped down to it.
Right. Who's coming to the shows? What's the range?
A lot of age groups. People that want to relive the past. Then there's new generations. I've seen 20-somethings, 30-somethings, even kids, young teenagers and stuff.
Right.
Because if you think about it, our music isn't like with our parents. It's not like Frank Sinatra time. I mean, our stuff does rock. I mean,
it's rock and roll. Yeah, actually. And there's not much out there. There's not much out there. Yeah.
It's not death metal, but
no.
There's a lot of 20-somethings that discover our decade, and it's like they're in a cult or something. I was telling the story earlier that I was in Sweden, and out in front of the hotel, there's like 20 guys or more, like 22 years old looking, wearing clothes I wore in '85.
Oh, the leather jacket and
they
everything?
had like scarves.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Really? Oh, yeah. And I'm going, what's going on? And it was like they were a cult, like they found something.
I love it.
Like,
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And I think it's because, it's like their parents aren't so corny. I mean, at least our stuff rocks,
No doubt.
It's not like we're Benny Goodman or
right.
some, not that there's
no, that was great stuff too, but it wasn't
wonderful.
Cool. It wasn't really cool.
Yeah, but like, if our stuff was that much different than what they like listening to, they wouldn't be coming to our shows
exactly.
and saying, like my son, he's in his early 30s, and he brought some friends from work down to a show, and these guys are like, "Your dad shreds, bro."
Right. Yeah, I have a son too.
Cool, man.
My son's the same age. Yeah, my son's the same age. They love it. Yeah, the kids say, "Wow, you could rock, man."
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Anything new coming up? Any new? Are you gonna possible recordings? Anything coming down the pike? What's happening?
Yeah, we're hoping to get new music out this year. Apart from that, we're just playing shows, writing music. I'm kind of with the modern day technology. I've been sending it back and forth to band guys. I go up the street to my buddies who used to be in Dio. His name's Tracy G. And we kind of grew up together. We played guitars, used to go watch each other play. And he has a studio at his house. So when I get a riff or something and I really like it, I put it on my phone, but then I go, "Hey, Trace, can I come over and record?"
Right.
And he's like, "Yeah, no problem, bro." And so I go over there and put ideas down like properly, like with the drum machine and bass and everything, and maybe come up with some ideas for it. So that's fun. Yeah, just chilling with the family. It's actually snow's gone.
Yeah.
It snowed like 6 times in 12 years here. And it just snowed, but it melts right away.
That's crazy. So we, at the end of each of our session, we've been doing this thing called singles, 45 singles. And they're just quick hits. I'm going to ask you a couple of quick questions, first thing that comes to your mind. Best road food, your favorite road food.
Favorite road food. I always just go for the safest, the burger. The dreaded burger.
Okay. Any particular one in anywhere that you your favorite?
Yeah, I'm not really. I won't mention that, but these days it's different. But I'm talking about back in the day. Truck stop, or perhaps McDonald's.
Okay. This is what I want. This is what we're talking about. Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. I know exactly.
McDonald's, bro.
There you go. Sports fan?
Sports fan. Yep. Been a Dodger fan since I was like 10 years old. Been to a million games. Follow them every year. And it's funny because if I have a friend that's like, say, a Cincinnati fan, and I go, "Oh, you're from Cincinnati?" He'll say, "No, I've lived in LA my whole life." I go, what's the deal?" like if somebody roots against their home team, I find that almost ridiculous. It's like, if you live in New York and you don't root for the Yankees, what is wrong with you, dude?
Yes, correct.
Well,
Or the Mets, but
seriously.
I'm a Yankee fan. I am a Yankee fan. No doubt about it. I agree 100%.
You know what I mean? I mean,
Yes.
you got to root for the home team. I mean, what's wrong?
Yes.
And I'm almost offended when people don't root for their home team.
I love it.
I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I dig it, man. Good. These are the answers I need. Guilty pleasure. What would somebody, you know, that sees Mark Kendall and like, you're like, you know, you watch the Housewives or something ridiculous, you know, I'm not saying that, but just, is there a guilty pleasure that nobody kind of knows that you dig?
I can tell you this. I watch a lot of what my wife and I call death and murder shows, because I love to see these guys get caught and I want to find out how.
Yes.
So I just love it when people, like, you know, they plan to off their spouse and they think it's the perfect murder, and either they get caught from a hair 20 years ago for some crime or whatever. It's seeing the guys suffer a little bit because he did something stupid, you know. I love the current forensic science behind everything today and how hard it is to get away with this stuff. It's just amazing. And for people to be that stupid, I think that's my hook, is that people literally think they're going to get away with murder. And it's like, dude, really? You didn't watch Forensic Files ever? Not even an episode? Or, you know, what's the deal? Because they do things like that blow my mind how dumb it is, you know.
Fantastic,
so
man.
I find that kind of fascinating. And really the hook for me, the chorus, is how these guys get caught. I just can't wait. I can't wait to see how they get them, you know. And it's always funny. So I kind of like that. I play pool. That's kind of a little enjoyment of mine. I played in the World Championships in New York about 4 years ago, and played the best players in the world. Didn't win. I mean, I won a few matches, but you know, these guys, that's all they do is play pool. So they're
I know. Tell me about it.
Greatest ever.
Yeah, for sure. That's
and
great.
It's nerve-wracking to be on TV playing pool when I'm a guitar player. But
no doubt about it.
And that's a lot of fun because the game is so difficult, so tough, that I've trained and I played pretty good for a guitar player.
So you must be a fan of The Hustler, right? The original Hustler.
Oh yeah.
Right, with Gleason and Newman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Gleason actually played a little bit.
Yeah, he was a real player. He was a real player.
He's a real player.
Yeah.
Hustled before he was an actor a little bit.
No doubt.
Newman couldn't even hold the cue.
Right.
He worked for 4 months with Willie Mosconi and learned to where he can actually look like he played, you know, so he really worked that hard at it. I've heard.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've read about that.
Mark, I want to say thank you. So it was a pleasure, man. I could talk to you for hours about everything but music, I think.
Thanks, Louie.
Awesome, I really do appreciate it. You want to just say, you know, you're going out there, you got some dates coming up. We're going to put some of the dates down below. What do you got coming up? You coming to the East Coast at all?
Yeah, I believe we're going to be playing Turning Stone in Verona, New York. If you would for me, because I can't remember the exact date, just go to officialgreatwhite.com. It's updated every single day. You can see when we play your area. And that's pretty much it. We're on all the social media. You know, personally, I like to help people that struggle with drugs and alcohol. So I always make myself available. I'm not one of these, you know, rock stars that hides from everybody, you know, and I always throw that out there. If anybody's struggling, you know, with alcohol or something, I always make myself available to be an encouraging, sober friend, supportive. I've worked with people for 10 years and seen a lot of success. So I always like to throw that out there.
Absolutely. That's important. Super important.
Yeah.
Salute to you on that.
Just another one of my hobbies.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's important.
Yeah.
That's real
Watching
important.
people get well is quite fun.
Yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
great thing to see, you know.
For sure. Well, I want to say thanks very much, Mark. Grind&Pivot, Queens, New York. Mark Kendall, great white. He's out there on tour. I believe I'm going to try to check him out. Verona, New York, April 9th, I believe, in New York. I'm looking.
There you
I
go.
was able to
April
get it up
9th.
there, but I'm going to knock on the door, and I'm hopefully I'm going to say hello. And I really
so.
appreciate it, man. You look great. You sound great,
you,
and only good things for you, man. As we get to the next chapter, huh?
Yeah, we'll be rocking.
Absolutely. You got it. Thanks again, man. God bless.
Thanks.
Peace.